Hey, what's up, guys? So, about a year ago, I started FightMediocrity, and I started it for less than $100. And now, a year later, in about a month, it'll have over 100,000 subscribers, and it'll be making that $100 in a single day just through ads, even if I sleep all day. And that's just through ads. Ads is like a very little part of how you make money, and we're going to talk about all that. But what I wanted to do with this was tell you the story, and not just the positive things, not just, weird generic stuff, but actually go into detail with it and make it as personal as I can. So here's how the story goes. So about a year ago, I graduated from college, and I had two options. The first option is this: go get a job. And what that means is you walk in there and they tell you, being a professional, being disciplined, means that you don't have hair on your face. You want to be comfortable? No, you can't do that. That's not discipline. Here's discipline. We put a thing around your neck, and you can't breathe all day, and you sweat in it, and that's what makes you professional. Do you want to do something that you want to do? Nah, sorry, you can't do that here. Here's a bunch of papers that you can put in order. You want to do something meaningful? No, you can't do that here. We have a meeting for you where we're going to waste an hour of your time talking about nothing. Right? So that's the first option. Dedicate your life to something that you hate. And that's the majority of your life, by the way, so you can feed yourself. So that wasn't really that appealing to me. And then there was the second option. And unfortunately, this is the sad part. Most people don't realize that second option is actually an option. To most people, the first option is the only existent option, and that's what they're going to do. But the second option was build a life where you do what you want to do, where what you do is meaningful to you. And that takes a lot more knowledge, that takes a lot more risk, a lot more hard work, but I said, you know what, that's what I want to do. And so I knew I was going to start something up on my own. Like, I always knew that. I was never going to be in that situation where I'm being told what to do. And I hate what I do. So one of the things that I really enjoyed, and this is why I started FightMediocrity, was reading. So at the time I was reading a lot, and what I wanted to do, and if you read a lot, you'll probably resonate with this. I'd be like 3 hours into reading, and it's just black and white, and it gets boring, and it gets tiring, right? So I want to be able to watch someone say something to me on video, or someone give me a summary, or their interpretation of the book or whatever. So I'm looking for all that stuff, and I found a bunch of things, but it was never anything that I could really resonate with. Especially at the time, I was 21, and I'm like, what are these people talking about? There's nothing that I can resonate with. It was always like general weird like platitudes. Like if it was this book, it would be something like, give value, and that's how you make money, which is true, but I want to hear a story or something that I can resonate with. And so I said, okay, look, there's all this demand for this. Like, I knew a ton of people like me who wanted the same thing, and the supply sucks, right? There's a lot of supply. Like, if you search for this stuff, there's going to be tons and tons of results, but it's all going to be something that you can't really resonate with. So that's the whole idea of a market inefficiency, right? You have all this demand and the supply isn't really there. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be that supply, right? In my mind, I was going to be that supply. And little did I know that I would actually start and I would be way worse than what was already on the market. So I started making these weird videos where I'd film myself and it was just awkward and just bad. Then I started writing these summaries on my website. So no one wanted to read that. No one wanted to watch my stuff. So here's the real story, right? I'm 3 months in and I have failed. I have absolutely nothing going on. So it wasn't the story of like, some guy just put out a product out there and the next day, you know, a person bought it and then people just started buying it from where? And then now he's sitting on a beach and, you know, he's making 6 figures a year. So that wasn't my experience, and neither is it of any of my friends who start things up. So this is kind of how it goes. So I'm like 2 or 3 months in and I have failed, right? And here's the thing. There are 1,000 different people that'll start a channel today, even if it's self-improvement. And they'll get to this point and they'll say, okay, I've failed, and then they'll just sort of fade away. It happens all the time, every single day, right? And I get calls from my mom and she's like, why don't you go get a job? I get calls from my friends and they're like, you know, we'll hook you up with something. I'm like, no. I know how to do this, right? So I'm going to go back to my plan. And I go back to my plan and I take a look at it. And this is sort of how you make the change, right? Like, there's no such thing as failure. And I don't mean that in some weird, like, motivational way. There's no such thing as failure. No, like, if you had never worked out in your life and you pick a workout routine and you start doing it and you don't see the results in 2 or 3 months, you don't say, well, I guess this working out thing isn't for me. I guess I'll go back to my shitty, unhealthy lifestyle. No, you just change the routine, right? So it's the same thing. And here's the secret to succeeding in business, right? And I hate the secret, but that's what it is. Like, if you do this, you're going to do well. There's no way that you're not going to do well. What you do, your product or whatever you do, has to be either better or different. Has to be either better than what's already on the market, or it has to be different, and that different still has to be valuable, of course. So I take a look at my plan, and I'm like, okay, is it better? No. It's not better. And the next question was, can it be better? And the answer was no. Right? I was reading a lot about mastery at the time, and it was clear to me that, look, the answer is no, you can't be better. And here's why. Like, if you take a look at, I said, okay, what's my market? And it's like self-development market, I guess. If you take a look at that, like, who are the people? Like, if you're subscribed to this channel and subscribed to other channels, how many 21-year-old kids are you subscribed to? I was 21 at the time. They're all like in their 30s or in their 40s sometimes. So, like, these guys have been doing this for a decade, for 2 decades. They've been putting themselves in front of the camera, and they know what they're doing. And here I am with 3 hours of practice, competing with thousands of hours of practice, and I'm standing here in front of the camera. No, like, that's not gonna work. So I can't be better, and then I said, then how can I be different? And of course, I could have been better, but I realized, look, that's gonna take years, right? Put in years and years of that practice, and then yeah, you can be better, but I wanted something now. So being different was the answer. So I say, okay, how can I be different? And I start brainstorming, and I have all these crazy ideas. But one of the more plausible ones was animation. And I looked at animation. I said, you know what? Like, no one's really doing this. It's gonna cover the weaknesses that I have. It's gonna give me that advantage that I don't have. It's going to make comprehension a lot more easier. It's going to be in a format where people are gonna enjoy it. So it was gonna give me a lot of advantage. So I said, okay, let's test this, right? A different workout routine, let's test it. So I make the animated video, and the animation was still horrible, the voiceover was horrible, but it was something. So I put it out there, I put it on a few different websites, and in a day, I got 1,000 subscribers, right? So I said, okay, that's a big enough sample. I've found my thing. Now stick to this, keep doing this, and keep getting better at it. And that was the answer, and that's when it took off. So forget that thing of, I have an idea, I'm going to start doing it, and then everyone's going to start pouring in, and I'm going to get all the sales, and I'm going to have all this money, and I'm going to be sitting on the beach. What's most likely going to happen is you have the idea, you're going to go in, and you're going to end up with something that you didn't even think you were going to end up with. So just remember that. Are you better, or are you different in a way that's still valuable? If you do that, there's no way that you're not going to do well. There's just no way. Now, let's talk about the interesting stuff, which is money. How much money can you make? Like, how much money could I make doing this, right? And I get this question a lot on my videos. Someone will comment and he'll say, how much do you make? And then someone will answer the question and he'll be like, well, I took a look at his subscribers and he has this many subscribers, which means he's probably making this much. And what I've realized is that when people ask, how much money do you make? They don't mean how much money do you make, they mean how much money do you make in ads? And those two are completely different questions. Ads can be like this much of how much money you actually make. So, just to make this point, I took a look at the Walmart YouTube page before I filmed this, and they have about as many subscribers as I do. I actually think I have more now. Does that mean that I make more money than Walmart? No. That would be crazy, right? YouTube's just a platform. Ads is just a little part of what you can do. So if you're Vitaly, it's a pretty good business model, right? But even Vitaly, he sells products. He does all kinds of other stuff. But that's going to be more of your revenue from ads. If you're Walmart, you probably don't even have ads. You don't want your competing products to be an ad in front of your product. So if you're someone like me, I guess you're somewhere halfway there. It's not a bad thing, especially as the channel grows. If I'm making $100 purely in passive income just sleeping, and that's just going to keep growing and growing, sounds good, right? But that's just a little part. So here's what I mean. I wrote down 8 different ways in a minute before I filmed this of how I can make more money. Right? 8 different ways. And some of these are way better than ads. Some of these are maybe the same or worse. But let's just go through them. The first one, I could create a product. That's one of the best ones. If I created a product right now, I would make a lot of money, considering it was a good product, and it would be. I wouldn't want to create something shitty. So, a product is one of the best ways. I have friends who have a channel that's half the size of mine. They'll create a product, they'll put it out there, and in the first week of launching it, they'll make as much money as an average American working for a whole year, 365 days, at a job that he hates. They'll make that much money. So, launching a product, one of the best ways. I could write a book. That would be another good way. I could create a subscription service. So that's basically like I would deliver things to you on a monthly basis, or I guess weekly or daily basis, and then I would get paid monthly. And a lot of people do this. This is like a pretty common thing. Yeah, so I could do that. Then I could do coaching. Right? I haven't really gotten into that, but if that was something that I really enjoyed, I could do more of that. I could do a thing where people support the channel. And here's the thing, you're probably thinking, well, I wouldn't support the channel and I wouldn't buy the product. And that's probably, like, statistically, you're probably not going to do it, right? So if you look at 100,000 people and a 1% buy the product, and let's say the product costs $99, how much money is that? Like, so 1 out of 100 people on the channel could be the people who are doing it. So it's not necessarily you. Just keep that in mind. And actually, a really good thing to read on this is 1,000 True Fans. It's kind of a short essay, and it's a really, really good marketing read. Now, 6, you could do, or I could do, affiliate marketing, which I'm probably going to put this up really soon, right? There's another good passive source of income. So combine that with maybe like people supporting the channel with ads. Just in passive income, you're looking at pretty good amount of money, especially as the channel keeps growing. I could get a sponsor. What about the relationships that I've created because of the channel? What's the value of that? Right? Like, what's the value of having a friend who's a New York Times best-selling author, and then you need advice? Or what you can create with that. So, again, this is just something that I wrote down in a single minute. Okay? There's literally endless ways that you could make money. Some are better than others. But to answer the question, how much can you make? The answer is really there's no limit. The only thing that limits you is your business mind and how you've cultivated that and how much do you know, and then how hard you're willing to work for it. Which leads us to a really important topic that I don't care about a lot of money, like making a lot of money that much. I think money is important, but I don't care about making a lot of money that much. And anytime someone tells you that, they're probably bullshitting you. So be skeptical, but here's what I mean. If I told you I don't want to be a professional bodybuilder, you would say, okay, cool. Like, that wouldn't surprise you. Now, looking like that is cool, right? But you realize that the benefit has all that cost to it. So, okay, he doesn't want to be boiling chicken breasts all day and planning all that and being in the gym all day. The cost isn't worth the benefit. That makes sense. But for some reason, when it comes to money and mastering money and making a lot of money, building a lot of muscle, people don't apply the same logic to it, which is crazy to me. Like, everyone wants to make a lot of money. And that's crazy because that has the cost to it, right? Like, you gotta put in a lot more time. You want a lot of muscle, you have to put in a lot more time. You want a lot of money, you have to put in a lot of time. So that should, kind of make perfect sense. Okay, this person doesn't want to make a lot of money, right? And when I was, a few years ago, maybe let's say when I was 19, I wasn't like this, right? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do all this entrepreneurial stuff. I'm gonna make a lot of money, and then I'm gonna have a Lamborghini, and I'm gonna show everyone how I have a Lamborghini. I'm gonna be like, here in my garage, and like that's not, as I've progressed, that's not what I want at this point in my life. I'm super minimalistic. The only thing I really spend a lot of money on now is food. Like, I'll spend crazy amounts on food that people don't like. Why are you spending all that money on fruits and vegetables? Like, I'll spend a lot of money on that. But really, I'm super minimalist. Like, my favorite thing to do right now is to go on a walk and breathe. How much money does that take? It doesn't take a lot of money. What it takes is time, which almost no one in the world has that kind of time. There aren't that many people who wake up on a Tuesday whenever they want and they say, it's a Tuesday. I feel like going on a walk in nature and breathing. People don't have that kind of time. And I do, and that's what I appreciate about this. There's nothing wrong if you want the money, right? Like, cool. If you want to be a bodybuilder, I respect that. If you want to make a lot of money, I respect that. I know how much hard work's gonna go into that. Right? But at the same time, realize that you might not necessarily do this for money, but you might do it for time. So you don't have to wait 5 days to be able to go on a walk, and then you're too sick to go on a walk, and you never go on a walk. So that's kind of like what I'm doing it for now. Maybe it'll change, and maybe at some point I'll be like, well, I want a Lamborghini to show everyone in my garage. But that's not what I want right now, right? And that's what I appreciate. So realize that that's what entrepreneurship means. Creating a life where you do what you want to do. And I think that's really noble. That's one of the most noble things you can do. And I get this bullshit all the time where like someone will comment and they'll say, "Oh, stop with the entrepreneurial stuff. You want everyone to be an entrepreneur." No, I don't want everyone to be an entrepreneur. Like, if I want to hire people, I want to be able to hire people. But I realize just because I put out a video, not everyone's going to become an entrepreneur. And I'm not even like that invested into it. Like, I'm not going to go to sleep and be like, how many people did I convert to entrepreneurship? Like, do whatever you want, right? If you're working at a job and you love it, and you find it meaningful, and you enjoy it, and you're like, even if I didn't get paid, I would still go to this job. I'm so happy for you. That's exactly, that's the main idea of what I'm trying to say. That's the main point that I want everyone to get to. Like, I'm really happy for you, but at the same time, like, realize, don't be an asshole. Like, 99% of the people don't have that. So, this is who this is for. And the whole channel's, like, the whole idea is, look, having a better life, ideas for having a better life. This is one of them. I'm 22 right now, and I wake up every single day and I say, hey, what do I want to do today? Not some bullshit of rushing to work and getting all stressed out and getting there all sweaty and then fixing my tie and making it tighter so I can't breathe and then being told what to do and I hate it. No, I wake up and I say, what do I want to do today? You know what? I want to go on a walk in beautiful Colorado. I want to go on a walk in the mountains. And there's not a single person in the world who can tell me, no, you can't do that. So I think this can create a much better life for you. If you're part of that 99% of the world who isn't crazy about going to their work. And just to end this with this final thought, I get this question a lot, and people will ask me, what's the best life advice you've ever gotten? And the first one has to be, there's nothing, no money, nothing can compare to this idea. And it's the idea of happiness depends completely on your thoughts. How happy you are, how fulfilled you are, how stressed out you are, everything depends on not what's happening outside you, it depends on your thoughts. So you can have 10 Lamborghinis, and one of them gets scratched, and then you come home and you're eating your $100 meal, and you're pissed off all day. You can be that guy, or you can be a guy with a shitty car that's all like scratched up. You come home, you have a really modest meal, and you can stay present, and you can enjoy the food, and you're thankful. You're going to be much happier. There's nothing that can compare to this idea, right? With that said, the second would have to be the idea of building a life where you do what you want to do. Where your life doesn't revolve around this at work all day. Where you do what you want. And you might even work more than the average person doing this. But you're going to do what you want. And the only way for most of us to accomplish that is to never work for anyone else.